Hi. We're back. This is Michael Weiss from Michael Talks Tech. I'm sitting with Guillaume Sachet, the Executive Vice President and Head of Strategic Planning at MediaCorp in Singapore. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. How are you?
Thanks for having me. I'm good.
It's my pleasure. Look, I really want to talk to you about MediaCorp in the context of mobile applications and what the view is from the company about where mobile applications fit into what you do and then how you take advantage of it. If I've read properly, right, you're also in charge of a media entrepreneur incubator inside your company. So maybe you can talk about that in the context of mobile as well and tell me how that's going and how it's progressing as well.
Sure. Well, the most important thing for us today is the digital transformation, right? I think it's no surprise.
Not at all.
We are traditional media moving into the digital world.
Okay.
And especially in the Southeast Asia region, right? When you talk about digital, you talk about mobile first.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's a very important part of that transformation.
Right.
And that's why we have this incubator called the Mediapreneur, which is really looking at new, innovative, disruptive startups,
right,
which can help us with that innovation, ideation, which sometimes is a bit difficult to develop in-house.
I was going to say, how does that work inside a larger company to keep like a nimble sort of entrepreneurial feeling inside the incubator?
Well, we tried originally to get some of our top management people to look at innovation, drive initiatives, right? And we realized that it's a very different skill set, but beyond that is also the mindset, right? So having internal innovation sometimes is difficult.
Right.
Hence the need to have this incubator where we incubate those startups, but they are running their own show.
Okay, and do you go out and find them, or do they come and try to find you? In other words, do you run demo days and things like that where people come and demonstrate things to you? Or does someone just come and knock on your door and say, we're building this game? Do you do games as well?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Actually, we do both. Okay. So we have a yearly call for action where we get startups to present. So last year we had our first batch. We had about 80 companies that came to present. We selected 7, which are now in our incubator. And then along the way, there are others that come and say, hey, I want to join the Mediapreneur. Is it possible? So they pitch to us.
Okay.
We have a small panel of 8 people, 4 from MediaCorp, from outside. And then we get them in the Mediapreneur.
And does the incubator have a specific focus? In other words, is it gaming focused or is it just mobile focused completely?
It's not just mobile, it's digital.
Digital.
But it's really companies that we think can bring something to MediaCorp.
Back to you.
And that MediaCorp can bring something to the companies as well. So it's a two-way relationship.
Okay.
It's not like a VC that will say, you know, I'm invest and it's a financial investment
and
walk away, right? For us, financial is always important, but it's more like the hygiene factor.
Right.
What really we are looking is the value that both companies will bring to each other, whether that startup can work with some of our business units.
Right.
So, for example, I give you an example.
I was going to say, if you could I don't want to know the names of the companies because that's none of my business, but if you could just characterize a company, that would be great.
Yeah, so we have a company that has very interesting mobile application, which is about advertising and gaming. So their principle is to say, when I have advertising on a mobile app, most of the people don't look at it.
Right.
Right. So they created a game, a puzzle, where you puzzle an advertisement, and then you get rewards.
Okay.
Right. Very basic, very simple idea, but quite cool idea. So they work with one of our customer segment, the English family segments. They develop a TV show, and then the app is part of the marketing campaign where some of the actors become in the puzzle, and then they do the promotion of the show through the application, right?
Right. So where is this team from? Did they originate in Singapore, or did they come from some other part of the region or some other part of the world?
Well, this team is young chaps from Singapore.
Okay.
But in the incubator, we have French people, we have German people, we have Chinese people, Singaporean. So we don't limit to Singapore, although all the companies that come to the incubator have to be registered in Singapore and physically in our incubator.
So, and you help them get all the sort of paperwork and documentation and stuff like that so that they can stay in Singapore?
Exactly. We help them and even with the visa and so on. So we have that.
So the first batch was 80 companies and 7 of them only made it past the initial stage. And will you do that again this year?
Yes. So we are about to launch the second call for action. So end of the month, we'll have the press release. And then the idea is by June to have the second batch. We hope to get 10 to 15 this year.
Okay, so more, double almost, yeah.
Although we feel that it will be tough because the landscape is changing as well there. In Singapore, you have many more incubators, accelerators, there's a big trend there.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing what's happened actually since, I'd say, 2011 and 2012. You've been in Singapore for a while, right?
Yes.
So can you characterize in your mind what the changes has been, particularly in the venture capital, let's just call it the investing world as it relates to startup companies, since, let's say, 2010 or 2011? Like, how have things changed in your mind?
Well, there are a few things. I think the government of Singapore has pushed quite a bit the investment in startups, so they have provided grants and helps and so on.
And all that
yeah,
stuff,
so that's quite a big push at the top level, right? Then you have many more VCs that came, right? Some of them feeling that this region, Southeast Asia, is quite an exciting region, a lot of population, middle class that are growing, a lot more sophistication, especially in the mobile game, in the mobile space. Sorry. And then recently, the latest trend is really accelerator incubators, in particular for corporate. So a lot of the corporate realize that they are getting disrupted. They need to react. If they try to react on their own, they may not be able to be as innovative. So they go for incubators, accelerators.
So I look to the West a lot to see what the future looks like in application development or just software development. And the one thing that's really different to me is that there's a lot of, both in Japan, but also in Asia, a lot of corporate venture capital. In the United States, really, there's just Google Ventures. I'm trying to think of another big company. I know some of them do it, but they're not nearly as prominent. Intel does it as well. But Intel's very, very specific, right? In a way, maybe that MediaCorp is as well. If it's not like chip related, if it doesn't help their chip business. So they first forayed outside of that. And then they said, wait a second, we don't know so much about this. If it helps our chip business, they're probably going to invest about $400 or $500 million a year in businesses that help that. So for the companies, do you invest in those companies as well? Like, you don't just have them sit in your office and incubate them, but you actually give them seed money too?
So it's a very small amount, so up to 50,000 Singapore dollars.
That's significant, though, still, for a seed company, right?
Yeah, and these are very early stage. Some are just starting to develop their product, right? So it's a bit of seed money, mentorship, space. These, again, hygiene factors, but more importantly is what we can bring as MediaCorp, right?
For sure. Well, the exposure that they can get.
Yeah, the exposure. So we give them media packages as well, access to our business unit, and work on real live cases, right? Because sometimes when you develop an app, you need the reality. Yeah, you need the reality check, right? So we provide that.
Yeah, I'm really interested. So do you feel like, if you give them seed of, let's say, up to 50,000 Singapore dollars, is there a benefit to them later to have the MediaCorp name associated with their business when they go out to raise more money?
We think so.
Yeah. Have you seen that happen already? Or I know it's just the first batch. But
so it's still early stage. Some of them are just starting to look for funding,
next round,
right? But I think, the fact that MediaCorp is there should give them a bit of a push in the VC space, especially because we are not... we take less than 10%, so we are not a big
that was actually going to be my next question.
Shareholder, right?
So it means that you're not actually getting in the way of the rest of the capitalization table.
Exactly. And then we are also not driving the company and saying, hey, you need to do this, do that, right? Because that's not what we want. Otherwise,
Otherwise, we'll
kill them. Yeah.
But this is the big question, right, for corporate venture capitalists, is that will you kill the company in which you invest because you'll stop other people from investing in it, but also scare other people away because they'll think, well, why would I give some of my IP to MediaCorp? But I don't think that's actually the case.
No, actually, we pretty much at arm's length.
That's my point.
And if anything, we give them some IP. Right. So we say,
reverse,
if you have a gaming company, they want to use our stars, they want to use some of our IP to develop a game. Just like, Blue Mobile is working with Kim Kardashian and more recently with Gordon Ramsay in the US, right? So we are open to do that in Southeast Asia with our stars.
So one more question, and then I'll let you go. What's the most exciting thing to you in the mobile space right now? And it doesn't have to be a type of application. I can tell you what it is for me, but I'm just curious what you think.
So why don't you tell me what it is?
I'll tell you what it is for me. Here's the difference, right? So in the old days, you had to have a laptop to get onto the internet. Right? But because it's mobile first, it's always with you and it's always on. And the always with and always on, like just having it with you all the time is nice, but it's always on as well, right? So having that just allows you to create so many other more interesting applications than you could even 5 years ago. And in my mind, right, with the onset of let's just say high speed, you can call it like LTE, you can call it 4G, you can call it whatever you'd like. But the concept of having this super fast internet connection in your hand or in your pocket, I think changes everything. Yeah, because people used to carry laptops around, sit in coffee shops. But now we could literally be on a bus and I could just be showing you things. We could be buying tickets. We could be making airline reservations. We can be doing everything. And that possibility of mobile everywhere, to me, is the most exciting thing. Because it means the stuff you can create is just endless.
No, for us is, for us is really about the content, right? Because MediaCorp is a content company.
Right.
So in the past, we push content through broadcasting, right? It's a one-way relationship.
Right.
We don't know whether people watch. We don't know whether people like. Right. I mean, we have a sense. We use Nielsen, Kantar, and
but it's very hard.
But it's very difficult to grasp the audience, right? Now, with starting from digital and now mobile, right? We can push our content everywhere, and then we have a feedback loop.
There's so much information they have.
Exactly.
But like most people who buy a mobile phone don't understand that every mobile phone has an individual MAC address, and that's published. So you actually know what kind of phone they're using, what type of person they are, where they are. It gives you so much data. And as long as that data is anonymized, actually, no one really should be bothered about having the companies use it, because then the content that they get delivered is more relevant to them.
No, and it is exciting. At the same time, it's challenging as well, because for us, we need to change the mindset on how we produce content.
Absolutely.
Right? Because we have the studios, the multi-million-dollar studios, but for digital and even more so for mobile, we need to change that. We need to think that you don't need to have that big studio, big production.
If you look at the quality that gets produced by 2 cameras, 1 on a rail, and lights, it's amazing what we can do. That's the real exciting part to me, to be able to do that and then push it out to the mobile.
Yeah, so it's the same for us, right? And we need to change that mindset and then take the opportunity and go for it.
Absolutely. And look, I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate you coming to the conference and just sitting here and talking to us. I mean, the media thing, obviously, to me is a deep interest. And just getting to meet you and to be able to talk to you is really an honor.
Well, thanks for having me, Michael.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Guillaume Sachet for sitting down and talking to us. This is Michael Waits, and this was Michael Talks Tech. Thank you very much. We have an amazing lineup of guests today. Chris KROL, building apps can be silly crazy. Guillaume Sachet, modernizing media. SHAWN, video ads get personal. NIKKI ASSAVATHORN, building a mobile game studio. WASIN THONKAEW, indie games. DJOANN, a story of community building and company building. CRV, GMASA founder and sponsor of this conference. NAMRATA KAPUR, insights on cloud services for startups. LAIS de Oliveira, started the Airbnb for office space in Southeast Asia. SAMSON MASIH, 50 billion impressions? Wow. IZHAK, he'll tell us things about online gambling that you won't believe.